Today I want to talk about persistence. It's a defining characteristic of those who succeed, and it's something that we really need, and it's a huge part of confidence if we want to take ourselves, our business, whatever it is, to the next level. So let me get into a conversation with you now about persistence, what it is, and how to get it. Hey sisters, so let's talk about persistence. Many start out on a journey, but few reach their end goal, and the difference is persistence. You can think of great leaders, great actors, and great athletes, and the difference between them, those that succeed, and those that fall by the wayside is persistence. They don't fall at the first hurdle, they continue going on and on and on. They find a way or make a way to make things happen for them. To quote Neo out of The Matrix, everybody falls the first time, and it's not the falling, it's how you get up and continue. So it's about persistence, taking things in your stride, making ways to achieve what it is that you want to achieve. And to do that, you need to make sure that you understand what it actually is you want to achieve. So I want to start talking now about some of the things that make up the background to why some people succeed and some people don't succeed. What makes them persistent? What is it that they've got that most of us don't have? Because I can set goals and you can set goals. The setting of goals is actually the easy bit. It's what happens when they go wrong. What happens when you don't get there? So let's take a look now at some of these strategies, some of these background insights, and let me see if I can give you something that will make you much more persistent, because you want to achieve what you want to achieve, and we've got this, babe. So what is persistence? Persistence is the thing that differentiates those who succeed against those who fail. So we can all think of great leaders, famous actors, amazing athletes, and the difference is that they have persistence. It's not that they've had a glorious path to success, and it's not like they haven't had any failures or obstacles in the way. What the difference is how they have chosen to deal with them, and they have been persistent. They have wanted to get to their goal. It's so easy for us all to set goals. I know I set goals every year to go to the gym, and then do I persist? That's a subject for another video, absolutely. But let's dive into the background to persistence and try and give you an insight as to why things might not be as easy to achieve as you think, and hopefully give you some skills and strategies that will make you much more persistent, or at least recognize when you're about to wind it down and go back into your comfort zone. So let's have a look. So the next part of this conversation is all about motivation. Now, I can go on about motivation for ages, so I absolutely won't. Don't worry. But motivation, yes, if you're going to get to where you need to be motivated. Yes, you do. And motivation will get you started. I personally am a large believer in hard work and persistence. If you give me someone who is a hard worker and persistent, I will take that every day of the week above motivation. Motivation is what gets you started, but persistence and determination is what makes you finish. So you're like, okay, how am I going to do this? I'm motivated to do all sorts of things, and I never get around to doing them. The thing here is, if you find something you really, really, really want, it will motivate you to start. So if why you want something is big enough, so why do you want this yacht, this fast sports car, I don't know, a date with Brad Pitt, or the fantastic business career you deserve? Why do you want that? If you can identify why you want that, then the how you get from where you are now to where you want to be will kind of take care of itself. Now, you know this because I'm sure there are times in your life when you really, really wanted something, and why was completely personal to you, but you got there. The how absolutely took care of itself. I don't care if it was those fantastic heels, or it was a date with that great person, or it was that job interview that you really shouldn't have got the job, but you wanted it so badly. The why was so enormous that the how you did it took care of itself. You did what you needed to do to get from where you are now to where you want to be. Now that is persistence. Yes, motivation will get you started, but determining why you want something will absolutely make you much more likely to get it, I promise you. And again, I'm not going to go on. Head over to the website, to the free video, and have a little look at that, because I have a whole section about how you can do this, how you can identify this. So first things first, okay, determine what your wants and desires are, and then second, let's get into why you want them, because that will carry you through. So we've identified what you want and why you want it. The next bit, I'm afraid, means a little bit of work. So I would suggest that you do some research and planning. Whatever it is you're trying to achieve, other people will have done something similar before, something like this, if not the exact same thing. They'll have done it their way, and you're going to do it your way, and your results will be yours. But have a look at how other people have achieved things in a similar way in similar fields. Do some research about your product, for example, or the lifestyle, or the client, whatever it is that you are trying to get from A to B towards. Some research, I'm afraid. Then build a step-by-step plan. I don't expect you to go into all the nuts and bolts, but you do need to identify a path between here and there. Because the secret is, if you don't know where there is, it's very difficult to get there. So you need to identify the steps along the way in the first instance. If you start out with your plan of doing just this today, and this tomorrow, and this the next day, you might not end up there. You might end up way over here or over there, which might be what you want. But if this is the thing that you really, really want, let's try and get you there. So identify a whole series of steps that you need to take, knowing full well that they will change, because as you've taken step 1 and step 2, something else will change, and you will need to reevaluate the plan. But better a plan that you can change than no plan at all. And if you have a plan and you're knocking off the steps of the plan to get you where you need to be, it might be an incredibly long slog. This might be a year's project rather than a year project. But if you're knocking those steps off that plan, it will help your motivation, the word I obviously hate, but it will certainly make you more persistent, because you will be achieving things every day or every week or whatever the plan determines. So the next part is the hard work part. Do a bit of research and get yourself a step-by-step plan that will get you from where you are now to where you want to be. So let me give you a little story. I don't know if this will help or hinder, but I'll give you the story anyway. I used to have a recruitment business. So for those people who haven't ever experienced a recruitment consultant, I used to find people jobs. So I would need to tout for clients, people who wanted to find people to employ, and then I would also need to find potential employees and match the two together. That's how the recruitment industry works at whatever level, and I'm going to talk differences of level in there. And I wanted to set up a recruitment business. I wanted to set up a recruitment business because I come into contact with lots of individuals in recruitment businesses, and I had a specific area of specialisation in mind. So what I did, one of the first things that I did, was I went to talk to lots of recruitment consultants. I went to talk to recruitment consultants that place those people on temporary work and part-time work. And I went to talk to recruitment consultants and recruitment firms and specialisations that would probably prefer me to call them headhunters, darling, but people who place very large executives on very large salaries and everything in between. As I say, I had a particular niche, so I actually went to talk to the clients that I was going to talk to in that niche, that particular market area. Now, what I did then was I allowed myself some breathing time and some thinking time to try and find out what they all did. What did they all have in common that matched what the client wanted? What is it that was absolutely essential to get me and to get my business from A to B in this particular recruitment space? So I identified the things that everybody did. It might have looked slightly different. It might have had slightly different outcomes, but the actual structure of what they did was pretty much similar along the whole piece. So I've identified what it was that was absolutely vital for me to have in my business. And the rest of it was kind of their style, how they approached it depending on their market area and their client and candidate area. So that was a a huge piece of research that I did way before I even set up the business. And it doesn't have to take hours of time. You know, if it's something that you're involved in anyway, no doubt you've got the connections or the contacts anyway. So did that piece, and then I laid out a plan as to when I wanted to start doing things and when I wanted to finish doing things, and some of the key things that I needed to do along the way. Yeah, my plan did veer considerably, and I had some interesting times, because you think you know something and then you hit a roadblock, obviously, and it doesn't go the way you planned. But I found that it helped me. But not only did it help me, it helped all of those people who I was potentially working with or who had to help me along the way. So, for example, being able to communicate to my website designer at the time what I wanted to do with the business and where it was going was really useful to have this plan in front of me. You know, in terms of producing collateral literature, simple things like letterheads for good old-fashioned proper letters. It was really easy for me to then look at my steps, my plan, and to look at what I needed to communicate to be able to say, look, that's the sort of documentation, the sort of brochure where I want, etc. And it also allowed me to understand when I was actually going to need to approach the market. So, you know, when along this plan can I actually start talking to customers and clients. So it was a really useful plan, and it helped everybody involved. And I'm not saying it was the planning part was the fun bit, but it was really vital, because I absolutely know that halfway along this plan I would have given up. I had other things to do. I was busy with my training business. I was busy doing all sorts of other stuff, and if I hadn't had this plan, I probably would have let it go by the wayside, because, you know, business crises arise in other areas. But I kept coming back to it, and I saw all the progress along the way. So that's just a personal experience, personal little anecdote from me. Unfortunately, in this life, you have to do some of the hard work. So, positive mental attitude. Yes, I expect you to bounce around like an Energizer bunny on a regular basis, and that will get you where you need to be. That will build in persistence, won't it? Unfortunately, it won't. But, you know, positive mental attitude. I'm positive, I'm mental, and I have an attitude. You will hear me say that previously on other videos, I'm sure. What it is, people, is the world will throw stuff at you. It really will. And 90% of where you get to is about how you react to what the world throws at you. So if the world throws you a curveball and you go and hide in a corner, that's it, game over, I'm afraid. So what I mean by positive mental attitude is facing those curveballs kind of head on. Can you face a curveball head on? Facing them, facing those challenges head on, and dealing with the problem, dealing with the issue itself, rather than the emotion that's attached to it, rather than all the stuff that's going on around it. If you have an issue or a problem, yes, maintain a positive mental attitude, but do something about it. It's about the action that you take, the reaction to something that's actually happened to you. And that's what I mean by the positive mental attitude. You're going to have some big things happen that you just can't deal with, and you don't know how to deal with them, and it's like, oh my God, and you're going to get yourself in a complete tailspin, and your emotions are going to take over. Take a breath and look at the practicality of how you solve the problem, not the emotion, how you solve the problem. And that's what I mean. Keep that mental attitude really focused and really clear on achievement and getting round all of these issues and getting round all of these problems. So that's my little take on positive mental attitude. And just to prove that I practice what I preach, if you've watched my podcast, watched my other videos, you'll know that I actually have a very successful business in Spain. I recently moved back to the UK from Marbella. And my business is in tourism, and it depends when you're watching this, but I'll give you a hint, it's now July 2020, so we're out of lockdown. But I have a tourism business in Spain, and it's gone kaput. Really? I'm really hoping that tourism comes back, but my whole business, the whole of my life, I've got 5 individual businesses, all based in Spain, and they stopped within a day of each other, with no likelihood of them coming out of it at all. And until I actually get an influx of tourists back into Spain, not just 1 or 2 people going, then my business is closed. So look, here I am, brainybiscuit.com. New start, completely new business. I could have gone and hidden in a corner, but no. Yes, this is a passion. I've wanted to do it for a while. But I'm walking the walk, people. I really am. So it works. I hope that's motivating for you. So persistence is a habit. We all have habits that get us through our day to day, some that we don't realise, like you have to have your morning coffee before you can even leave the house, and others about how you structure your work day or your family life. We have habits, and they make life easier for us because it means we don't have to think about everything every day. The habits are actually a good thing. So what you need to do is you need to build habits that will help you with persistence. So on your journey from wherever you're going now, from wherever you are now to wherever you're going, build in some habits. Now, habits tend to take about 3 months to change. So if you want to give up smoking or lose weight, or exercise more, she said, looking at herself. The way to do it is to build it in gradually into your day-to-day life. And in about 3 months' time, that's what everybody says, that's what specialists all say, then it will have become a new habit, a new way of being. And that's what you need to do with persistence. Persistence needs to become a habit. The disciplines that we've just mentioned, the things that I just talked to you about, need to be built in as habits into your day-to-day life. And then when you hit a roadblock, you'll just go, nah, whatever, I can deal with this. Persistence is not something you have. Motivation is not something you have. It is something that you do. Everything we achieve, everything about us is about how we do things. So let's sort of get much more persistent, ladies. You've got this. It really isn't that difficult. You know you've got an amazing business. You know you've got an amazing lifestyle, family, career. You know this. You just need to take that extra little step and you will be able to do amazing things, I promise you. Okay, so persistence needs to become a habit. Habits are the things we do repeatedly, and sometimes we don't even know we're doing them, like having a coffee before you leave the house in the morning, or making your bed so you've got a nice bed to come home to in the evening. Persistence isn't something you have. Motivation isn't something you have. It's something that you do. It's all of the little things that you do every day that take you from where you are now to where you want to be in whatever area of your life. So you need to build in these persistence habits. You need to look at some of the things we've been talking about today and try and build those into your life. Yes, it will be difficult and it will be uncomfortable to start with, and I know there is the fear of failure. And unfortunately, if you put yourself out there, you might fail. But if you don't put yourself out there at all, you will never know what difference you can make in the world. So build in some persistence habits into your daily routine, knowing that you've got this, you know your stuff. You're amazing. So, hope this has been really helpful for you. If you want to know any more, I can help you individually, then let me know, get in touch with me, and I'll be very happy to talk to you about persistence.